Hi everyone, we are so glad that you took the first step to becoming into a group here at the Foundry. My name is Kristen and I'm going to be your host for this series over the next 3 weeks. We realize everyone is here for different reasons. Whatever your reason is, what we're hoping for you is that you will be able to have encouragement and accountability with your group members. So our goal over the next 3 weeks is that you're forming these relationships and getting to know one another so that when we do start into the sermon-based series, you'll feel comfortable with one another. You'll be able to have those relationships started and be able to dig deeper into your faith. Now here's Eric to talk to you about how the relationships that you form in these groups are going to help transform your life.
I couldn't be more excited for you that you are exploring what it would be like to be in a group. Small groups in our church are a vital link to who we are and what we're doing. We understand that really you can come to church 1 hour a week and be a member in good standing and never grow. Because if you do something 1 hour a week out of the 168 you have, it's not going to change you. What we're asking is that you would get into relationships that transform you. It's a little bit risky, but it's worth the risk. Small groups is worth the risk because it's where you grow. It's where you learn to discuss your faith and maybe disagree and not hate each other in the end. This world is not so polaric that you can't disagree and still remain friends. We can do that, and we know in church we can have curriculum set up so the goal is that you are growing in relationship and in the Word of God. And we believe those are two easily achieved goals if you will partner with us in getting after that, in joining a group and being part of what God's doing through the effort of relationships, because we know this, Jesus Christ was in a small group of people who he was in close relationship with. Think of the ministry Jesus did that was really impacting. When the prostitute came and poured the offering, like washed his feet with her tears and poured the perfume on his feet, that was at dinner. That was at a meal setting. That was a group of people gathered. Jesus taught that. When Jesus was with the disciples day in and day out, they ate together, they slept in the same rooms, they spent life and did life together. And we're asking you to embody that model of church. Church is not just the big gathering, but it is part of it, because we know this, when Jesus declared himself kind of into public ministry, it says he went to the synagogue as was his custom, and they handed him the scroll and he read from it. So there's worship, and that's a weekly worship, that's a part of it. But the real work goes on in the relationship of groups, and we want you involved in that relationship. We want you to be known for who you are, even if it's broken, because then we can really celebrate the transformation that comes. Without being known, it's really kind of like hard to define where you've grown. But if you're known by people and you're loved by people, we'll celebrate the growth, we'll challenge you in areas of weaknesses, but also you get cared for. You get cared for. People know when you're down. They can tell when you're sad because they know you. You can share your burdens and not carry it alone. We have a story in our church of a couple who was really struggling, and we as a staff, I as a pastor, had no idea that they were in such a tough spot, but their group knew. And their group was taking care of them. And their group was leaning in and helping them go through that process of pain and transformation. They're a deeply invested family in our church now because their group was priest and prophet to them. We're Reformed people. We believe in the priesthood of all believers. You have a voice, and you are supposed to debate what you believe, talk about it with your friends, be stretched and strained and grown, and the best place to do that is in groups. I'm in a small group. We ask the staff to be part of a small group. Even we staff are part of a group. You know, we're known as staff. We're the group that works together and serves together. We know each other. The staff knows when I come in and I'm a little grumpy, and people can say, "Are you doing okay?" It's nice to be known. Not just attend, but be known. So we're inviting you to a more biblical form of Christianity. Be part of us on Sunday. Give generously when you can and volunteer where you can. But more than anything, get into a small group and let that be the defining thing of your faith. That's where you'll grow. That's where you're transforming. That's what we count in this church. Whoever's in small groups, we really look at and say, now that is a fully invested member of the Foundry Church. I invite you to become one of those.
Thanks, Pastor Eric. That was wonderful. I hope you guys are understanding now why we're doing groups the way that we are doing it here at the Foundry. So some of you might be thinking, okay, this sounds great, but we have to meet every week. And that kind of speaks to the busyness that we have. Meeting weekly is not necessarily convenient for everyone, but it is definitely meaningful. Take, for example, meals. McDonald's, very convenient. Had it last night because I didn't feel like cooking, but it really wasn't meaningful for my family. A meaningful meal would be if I was to put my heart into making a dinner for my family where I would make it from scratch. It's not always convenient, but the meaning behind it would make my family so much happier. I recently read a blog about the threat of convenient Christianity. We in our society are all about convenience, and we're trying to fit Jesus into our convenient schedule. But I don't think that's what Jesus is calling us to do. I think that he is asking us to do what he wants, even if it is a little inconvenient for us, because it's more meaningful. So with all that we're saying about groups, remember there's this bottom line. We want groups for you, not from you.